Wild week in Buffalo sports. Pretty crazy. On Tuesday, we had the opening of new Highmark Stadium. As Matt Bove and I said on my other podcast, it's always game day in Buffalo. When can we stop calling it new Highmark Stadium? Is that like the new, when can you stop saying Happy New Year to people? I think it is. I think we're close to it, though. They opened it. It's now Highmark Stadium. Once they actually play a game in there, that's what it's going to be referred to. So, going to talk about that. My guy, Brayton Wilson from WBEN, WGR Odyssey, was there for that. He's going to join me. And to talk about the massive trade the Sabres made late Tuesday night, right before we did the Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast. Matt Bove and I found out from Max, we were about to record. He's like, I'm on Byram watch now. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? I was getting done with a Little League game. And it was kind of wild to see everything keep happening and coming through. So Brayton's going to join me in a minute. He has been all over the NHL draft for many years, and he's so good with prospects and talking about the top guys in the draft in the first round. And now, pretty exciting. The draft's in Buffalo on Friday, and the Sabres had the 4th overall pick. What they do with that, though, is anybody's guess at this point, especially because they freed up, $10+ million with the trade. So we're going to do that in just a second. Want to thank everybody who participated in the Sports City Golf Classic last Thursday. Awesome time. I saw the videos. I couldn't be out there because we had a baseball tournament going on. I know there's some rain that came by. I sponsor the Closest to Pin contest, so I got to get with Mike and see who won that. Thanks a lot. Make sure you go to Sports City Pizza Pub, watch all the World Cup games, NHL Draft. You got baseball games going on right now, and of course, football season. 1407 Niagara Street. Check them out. Great wings, pizza, everything you could ask for in a place to watch sports and just hang out with people and get great food and drinks. Of course, Herbal IQ, 6300 Transit Road in Depew, a New York State licensed dispensary. They have such a great showroom. Check them out. They have so many things going on inside their showroom and then beyond. Like in the back, they have yoga in the morning, like great spaces for people just to hang out, talk, get to know one another. Really cool. We appreciate them. And of course, Total Sports Enterprises, TSE Buffalo. Now, I'm not going to be a part of Mafia Con this year. My best friend is getting married, 45 plus years. I am the best man that day. I can't go to Mafia Con this year. It's for a great reason, though. But you're going to have a great time at Mafia Con. TSE is going to be there at Mafia Con. They have so many private and public signings coming up. Check them out. TSEbuffalo.com. Check out the upcoming signings tab. You'll see it all right there. Got to thank my guy, John Saft Electric. And of course, he's in the Hudson Valley area, but he's a big Bills fan, big Sabres fan. Ask for the Buffalo discount. If you're watching from anywhere in that area, you need electric done, go to John, 845-744-5072. Ask for the Buffalo sports fan discount. And finally, of course, fans of Buffalo back once again this year to let you know all about their great trips. Miami, Vegas, Houston, Green Bay, Minnesota, Denver, LA. Look at those trips you can go to as a Bills fan. They got everything for you. They're going to fly you to the game on a charter. They're going to give you a ticket to the game, tailgating. You got hospitality, hotel. It's absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, I've worked with Will for years. They do this right. So check them out, fansofbuffalo.com. All right, let's bring in my guy, Brayton Wilson from WGR and WBEN. He's been covering the NHL draft for many years, but beyond that as well. How many years have you been at Odyssey? We've worked together a long time.
I started as an intern in the winter of 2015. So that was during the Sabres tank. And I think one of my first memories was the 14-game regulation losing streak that I helped with Sabres broadcasts and everything like that. But yeah, I've been doing stuff here at Odyssey Buffalo ever since.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today because you've always been, part of our draft coverage leading up to the NHL. And, the Sabres, now that they're getting better, they're not picking as high. But when this trade happened, I'm like, oh my God, like now we can really kind of get juicy with this. Here's the thing. We don't know if they're going to pick 4th overall, right? We really don't know. And they can do anything with this pick. Let me ask you first, how did you find out about the Bo Byram trade? And because it seems like you're always at Odyssey Buffalo at the station in some capacity. How did you find out and how did it hit you?
So it was funny because I was playing in the 11-day power play yesterday when the trade happened. So I'm sitting on the bench.
Congratulations, by the way. Great cause. I went down there with my family a few days ago. The score at the time was 564 to 550 something, just so you know.
Yeah, well, we didn't. Unfortunately, Team WGR did not come away with a victory, but we just play for fun anyway. I scored 2 goals yesterday. Yes. They're the first goals I've scored since 2019 in the 11-day power play, and I've doubled my career total in the 11-day. But aside from that, so I got off the ice from a shift, and I jumped onto the bench, and Owen Parker, who wasn't playing, he's a little banged up, so he was on the bench, kind of serving as like the door operator for the bench, and all of a sudden he's just like, "Hey, Brayton, they traded Byram." I'm like, "Wait, what?" They traded where it said Chicago. They're, he's still going through like the minor details of, what exactly was coming back. And he said they got the 4th overall pick from. I'm like they traded the 4th overall pick for Bowen Byram. In what world do teams trade the 4th overall pick for a player like Bowen Byram? And then when Owen kept, updating, Greenway's part of the deal. Okay.
Which wasn't a bad thing because we know that his salary's off the books now. And there's really not much room anymore for Jordan Greenway on this club.
Yeah.
And now you removed $4 million.
Yeah. And I mean, the cap space alone getting off of the books for Greenway and Bowen Byram, it's over $10 million in cap space that the Sabres created. And now I think there's somewhere like $23 million in cap space heading into the draft and free agency and everything like that. But the details kept coming from Owen on the bench because he had his phone. And in my head, I'm trying to concentrate on the game. But at the same point, I'm thinking, what was Chicago thinking in this deal? Why would they give up that much for a guy like Bowen Byram, who I really like Bowen Byram. I love his game. He was really good at periods this year. And then other periods, he struggled mightily, especially come playoffs. He was phenomenal in the Boston series and then very up and down in the Montreal series. He was either their best defenseman on the ice or their worst defenseman on the ice. And there was really not much in between with Bowen Byram. So the fact that the Sabres came away with the 4th overall pick, which rarely ever gets traded before the draft even happens, to also get a 2nd round pick, which they didn't have this year, and also to get a 6'8" defenseman in Louis Crevier is substantial. And a lot of people are ripping the Blackhawks for the trade and giving the Sabres their flowers for it. And I think rightfully so.
I was not kidding, waiting to hear maybe the Sabres gave them back their 1st round pick. Like, you know what I mean? They flipped 4 and 20. That would have, okay. Well, they're moving up, but they still have 20 after the trade they made earlier. Yeah. I mean, it's with San Jose, right? It was, I think, San Jose, they have 20. So Sabres go into this, and then they get a 2nd rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sabres go into this draft with so much capital, but it's not like years past. You referenced the tank. It's not like these teams that are just building and resetting and rebuilding. They're not doing that anymore. I mean, my big takeaway here is, and this is not novel anymore because the Sabres were in this position at the end of the year, Brayton, Jarmo Kekalainen is trying to win the Stanley Cup next year.
That he is. And it goes to show with a move like this where, I mean, let's face it. We kind of knew the situation with Bowen Byram. He wants to be a number 1 defenseman somewhere. He's not going to do that here in Buffalo. You've already got Rasmus Dahlin, who's one of the best defensemen in the world. You've got Owen Power, who was stellar in the playoffs this past year. And even Matthias Samuelsson has kind of blossomed back into this really solid middle pair guy or top pair guy with Dahlin, however you want to put him, top 4 guy. Let's go top 4. And it seems like at best, Byram was ever going to be 3 on this roster. And again, there was no indications that Byram did not love Buffalo, that he didn't love playing with his teammates or anything like that. He just wanted to take the best chance that he could get to be a top defenseman somewhere and get top dollar. And that's totally respectful of a guy that's 25 years old, who has won a Stanley Cup in Colorado before he got traded to Buffalo, and who has shown flashes of being a solid top 4 defenseman, maybe even a top 2 defenseman. He's going to go to Chicago. He's going to be able to do that. He's going to be able to showcase what he can do. But I caution again for Chicago fans and anybody who might be a Blackhawks fan listening, you're going to get some super high highs from Bowen Byram, and then you're going to get the super low lows where, he makes a play where he tries to get up ice and join the rush. It breaks down quickly, and next thing you know, he's caught back and he's trying to get back, and it's just, it breaks down like that. Sometimes his possession game is not good. Other times he's all over the ice with the puck and he's phenomenal. So you're going to get a lot of ups and downs with Bowen Byram, but the fact that the Sabres were able to get what they did again is incredible. And not only that, but to the point where Kekalainen's trying to win the Stanley Cup, he was able to move up the 7 spots in the Kesselring trade, which, I thought was a fairly decent move that they made. Kesselring, I wanted him to do better here. Unfortunately, he just wasn't going to be that guy either. So they move on from him. They move up some slots in the draft. And then, some of the other things that we're hearing about Kekalainen, maybe being involved in Connor Hellebuyck talks, maybe being involved in Matthew Nye's talks. I don't know where maybe they've tried to reach out to the Red Wings about a guy like Dylan Larkin. I don't know. We could tell though, and from what we're hearing out on social media and in the NHL landscape, that Jarmo Kekalainen is being aggressive. He's trying to figure out a way to add to this team to be able to compete next year, to be able to compete for years afterwards. And the tide has changed here in Buffalo. The tide has changed in Western New York, where the Buffalo Sabres are not just trying to draft high to get all these prospects. They're going to draft high this year, but they're also going to try to acquire more pieces in order to be a better team in the long run.
Just to wrap up the Chicago side of this, you touched on it a bit. Bowen Byram will be fine in Chicago. On most teams, he's probably a top pair defenseman, right? I mean, some like in Buffalo, he's kind of blocked right there. He wouldn't be that. He'll help with, what they need to get the puck to Connor Bedard. But I think the expectations might be a little too high now for him going there after giving up the 4th overall pick, which is unfair to him. And he's not signed beyond this year. So let's see what happens. Because as you mentioned, he wants to be, a top defenseman, and he'll probably get that there. So maybe he resigns.
Right.
But you do this deal and you don't get immediately, he's now signing a new extension in Chicago. So, we'll see where that goes. But let's go to the Sabres side of it. You mentioned Kesselring, defenseman. You mentioned we had no Byram gets traded, defenseman. Now you're depleting a little bit what has been a strength of the team, blue line, no doubt. But you have depleted it here over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Does that get you to steering that way, whether the 4th overall pick is a Chase Reed, a defenseman? We'll get into the prospects in a minute. Or do you think the Sabres would still look to flip that 4th pick for either a defenseman, maybe a Hellebuck deal, or something else to strengthen themselves?
I could see it either way. I could see them sticking with that 4th pick because, again, picks like that don't get traded very often in the NHL draft. But this is a different circumstance, especially for the Buffalo Sabres, who were so close to reaching the conference final this past year against Carolina. Maybe they would have put up a better chance against Carolina in the conference final if they had gotten there. But they were so close to tasting that opportunity again for the first time in 20 years, nearly 20 years. How much is that going to push Jarmo Kekalainen to make a big splash? And I think the 4th overall pick is kind of where that's his ticket. If he's going to go out and get a Connor Hellebuck, if he's going to try to make a push to go get a Dylan Larkin, or, is Matthew Nyes maybe worth the 4th overall pick as part of it? Potentially, because Matthew Nyes could be your replacement for Alex Tuch. And all indications right now are Alex Tuch is going to be going to free agency, or there's a sign and trade that could be worked out before free agency begins where Tuch gets traded. The Sabres get some sort of value in return for him, maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick. It's not going to be much. So for people that might think that they're going to get something elaborate for Alex Tuch in a sign and trade, don't expect that. It's not going to be very, very much at all. But I'd be interested to see what the mentality is. I would love to be a fly in the room with Jarmo Kekalainen right now in the discussions, just because the 4th overall pick is a value pick. There are going to be a number of good prospects available with that 4th pick. And I think I heard Jody Biasi bring it up this morning with on WGR, where, a lot of those guys that are picked 4th overall, they only take one more year of development and then they're making the jump to the NHL. Brady Tkachuk is the only one in the last 10 years, I think, that got drafted at the 4th overall pick and jumped immediately into the NHL. And then there are a handful of guys, like I think Cale Makar was one of them, that he got drafted 4th overall, played 2 years of college hockey to really develop and hone in on his game, and then immediately made the jump to the NHL. So more often than not, the 4th overall pick is making it to the NHL. Bowen Byram was one of the 4th overall picks. I'm trying to remember. I think he took 3 years to fully develop until, because I think he was a rookie when he won the cup in 22. So, you're getting a value player with the 4th pick. So if you hold on to it, you're going to get a valuable prospect, and you might be able to then take that prospect next year at the deadline. If there's a certain piece that you really want to go get to add and make your team better before the deadline as you make your push for the playoffs, maybe then you utilize that way. You draft the guy, but then you use him before he even gets here in a trade that helps your team in the short term, or however they want to go about it. There's different ways they can go about it. They could draft, or of course they could try and trade it. If I had a gut feeling though right now, I think they're more apt to trade the 20th pick and more likely to trade the 20th pick than they are the 4th pick. And I think the Sabres are totally content with that.
You can watch the NHL draft, be a part of it, I should say, in Buffalo. It's in Buffalo. Or you could watch it on TV over at Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. Check them out. Watch the draft there on Friday night. Should be really fun. Obviously, with the Sabres holding the 4th overall pick. Gather your friends, pizza, wings, beer. Got a great patio space for the summer. It's awesome. Also, go to Herbal IQ, a New York State licensed dispensary, 6300 Transit Road in Depew. And they have a great showroom, and they're always having events going on. And I'm sure they're going to have the NHL draft on as well. You can go there and hang out as well. Okay, so Gavin McKenna's going number 1. We're all sure of that, right? We know that. I thought I read, and I could be wrong. Did you read something, or have you heard anything about maybe that because the Sharks might have indicated they're going to take Chase Reed, that's why the Blackhawks made this pick, this trade? Because now a stud young defenseman is off the board, so let's go get Bo Byram. But I'm still seeing people say they're going to take Stenberg. Like, where do you think this stands?
See, and that's the funny thing is I think the Sharks are generating smoke screens all over just to try to throw teams off. Like, I think that if the Sabres stick with the pick and the Sharks go Chase Reed, does Vancouver then go Stenberg? Like, I
instead of Malhotra, whose dad's the coach now, right?
Right. Caleb Malhotra, who's arguably the best center available in this year's draft, or do they go a defenseman? It is, this draft does start at number 2 with the Sharks.
Yes,
and I think the Sharks know that they could go any direction, and I think they're trying to throw everyone off, saying, "Hey, we're leaning towards Chase Reed," and then they'll tell someone else, "Oh, we're leaning towards Ivor Stenberg," and then there's some other thing where, "Oh, well, maybe we'll trade the second pick." We won't know until Friday when they make that trade, and it may not even matter because the Sabres may still try to work a deal, especially if they want to go get a guy like Connor Hellebuck with the 4th overall pick. But for hypothetical sake, we'll talk like they're going to stick with the 4th pick. Ivor Stenberg, for me, is the second best prospect in this draft. And I think he is the one guy that challenges Gavin McKenna as the best prospect available in this draft. As a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, I think he's a little more on the older side. I have to double check that. But Ivor Stenberg was phenomenal in he's one of the older prospects in the draft. At 18 years old, he's a late September birthday, and the cutoff for the draft is September 15th. So he's one of the older prospects available. However, regardless of that, he played a full season in the Swedish Hockey League with Frölunda. Frölunda is a very familiar program for the Buffalo Sabres. Yep. Rasmus Dahlin played there. Right. Victor Olofsson played there and developed, and a couple other guys that they've drafted over the years have played in Frölunda. 33 points in 43 games. And he put up, I think, the 5th best productive year for a draft eligible player in the league's history. That's substantial. And he is a guy that is not all that big at 6 foot and 181 pounds, but he is smart. He's tactical. He's a playmaker. He sees the ice incredibly well. At the World Juniors, when he played with Sweden, he helped them to a gold medal for the first time since 2012 with his play. He put up 10 points in 7 games, 4 goals, 6 assists. He was just dominant, especially in the final 2 games, the semifinals and the gold medal game. Ivor Stenberg might have been their best player on the ice. He was just all over. He's engaged in every aspect of play, defensively, offensively. He's looking to actively make plays with the puck on his stick. He's a guy that if he falls to 4 and he's sitting there for the Sabres, I think Jarmo Kekalainen runs to the podium. He doesn't even let the clock start ticking down. He's running to the podium to give the NHL the card saying, we're taking Ivor Stenberg. But then again, of course, if he goes 2nd overall, then you've got questions as to which direction do you turn. Do you feel maybe Caleb Malhotra falls to you and you get another center and you're rich in center depth going forward? Or do you take one of the top defensemen? Do you take a Chase Reed if he's available, a Carson Carrolls, maybe even a Keaton Verhoff, who are mobile defensemen from the back end? Verhoff and Reed are right shot defensemen. So I'm very interested to see how this works out, how what again, the fly in the wall mentality. I would love to be in that room to see what the Sabres are thinking now with that 4th overall pick, but they're sitting in a great spot to add a prospect if they want to sit there and they want to make this pick at 4 overall.
Speaking of Rasmus Dahlin and several other Buffalo Sabres, you can always check out what they have at tsebuffalo.com. We got private public signings, tons of memorabilia, Total Sports Enterprises. They've been with me here for a while on Sal's House. Really appreciate them. Check them out. TSEBuffalo.com. Lots of great public and private signings coming up. Also, Mafia Con, they're going to be there. Going to have some players there as well. And you can go check them out at TSEBuffalo.com. So you just mentioned several of these prospects. By the way, Brayton Wilson here, WGR, WBEN, talking prospects for the NHL Draft. We'll get to the stadium in just a moment to wrap things up. But I would say there's probably, based on what you just said, maybe six real possibilities. I'm not going to count McKenna. So I'll go another 6. Stenberg, Reed, Malhotra, Carols, Bjork, and Verhoff.
You go Bjork.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me 30 seconds on each of these guys if we can. You already talked about Stenberg. What do you like about Chase Reed and compare him to Carols?
So Chase Reed, obviously, just right shot defenseman, good puck moving guy, moves around the ice super well. So he's super engaged that way. Carols is a little bit similar. He's a left shot defenseman, maybe a little bit bigger and more filled out at 202 pounds. But I mean, both guys play a very similar game. I just think at this point, it's all about the upside with these guys. Chase Reed was playing in the Ontario Hockey League and the Ontario Hockey League is kind of a more complete league than like the Western Hockey League. But, the Canadian Hockey League, the value of that league is kind of diminished a little bit, just given the fact that guys that, once they finish their draft year, they'll go play college hockey now because of the NCAA changes with players being eligible to go to college out of the Western Hockey League now, whereas years past, if you played in the Western Hockey League, you couldn't go to college hockey. So that's a little bit of a difference there. And in terms of Keaton Verhoff, he's a guy that did play in the college ranks this year. He went to North Dakota after playing really well in the Western Hockey League. And I think the expectations were just a little higher for him. And he didn't necessarily reach them. Not that he had a bad season, but the fact that he was just thought a little higher in the draft order as being a guy that could be a top flight defenseman. He's 6'4". He's 212 pounds. He's a guy that I think, because he didn't meet those expectations, his draft stock fell just a little bit, but he's certainly still a really good option on the right side of the ice. And a guy that I think, a team in the top 5, top 10 would be really grateful to have.
Now we know we talked a little bit about Malhotra. His father, Manny Malhotra, is now the head coach in Vancouver. What about him as a prospect who, by the way, he didn't play too far from here at Brantford, the Brantford Bulldogs, and Jay McKee.
Yeah, and not only that, but you made mention. I was about to say it. I kind of caught that last bit, but Caleb Malhotra is widely regarded as the best center in this draft class, and really, it's kind of not even close. I mean, for the fact that 6'2", 185 pounds, good playmaker, he could play really well at both ends of the ice. He's just a really solid overall type of prospect, and I think he talked with the media at the NHL Draft at the scouting combine, and he pretty much attributed a lot of the way that he's grown his game to his dad. I mean, 84 points in 67 games, 29 goals, 55 assists. That's stellar. That's stellar for a prospect like Caleb Malhotra and playing for a team like the Brantford Bulldogs. He goes to the OHL and plays really well. He even put up 26 points in 15 games. So just a really good cerebral two-way type of center, super reliable. I don't think he's going to be like the sexy type player where he's scoring all types of points and being flashy all over the ice. He's just a solid, reliable guy down the middle who can play, top 6 minutes, or even top 3 minutes as a number one center if he reaches the height, the ceiling that he can be. But I mean, he's got that NHL pedigree. His dad was drafted in the first round back at, I believe, in 1998, 7th overall by the Rangers, and he's likely going to be a top 5 pick this year. And really, just that put together with his on-ice abilities and the fact that he's going to go to Boston University to continue his upwards development, I think that's huge. And I think a lot of teams are going to strike to try and get him into the fold, whether it be the Sabres at 4 or whoever else. Maybe Vancouver gives him a call and says, hey, you're our pick. You're going to go play for your dad's organization now.
Okay, so let's just say Sabres kind of surprised everybody and you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? Like, some of these guys are still on the board, but we hear Bjork is the pick or Verhoff is the pick. What would be the reason that those guys might appeal to Jarmo Kekalainen?
I think those guys, like, if they feel that they bring a different element to the game, or if they bring a different upside to what the Sabres don't necessarily have, that might be intriguing. I'm interested to see where Kekalainen feels about a guy like Radim Murka in the organization, just because he was going to be part of the Colton Parayko trade. That trade got nixed by Parayko. Murka's still in the fold. But where does Kekalainen feel that he kind of fits into the future of the organization?
It wasn't his draft pick either.
Right, exactly. He was part of the organization when they did make that pick, but it was Kevin Adams' pick. So, and Murka, I loved Radim Murka. I picked him in my mock draft last year to go to Buffalo, just given the fact that he's a bigger defenseman. He's got the footwork. He's got the speed from the back end for a guy of his size at 6'6". And, he's raw, but he showed a lot of progress in coming up and developing. He went to the Western Hockey League in the middle of last season and played really well. And this year he still played fairly well. He got the chance to play with the Amerks early on and didn't look out of place playing in Rochester before having to go back to the Western Hockey League. It'll be interesting to see where kind of things go from here. But the biggest question is, where does Jarmo Kekalainen or maybe the staff feel that Radim Murka fits? If they draft a guy like Keaton Verhoff, if they draft a guy like Chase Reed, or even a guy like Carson Carroll's, they're adding to their defensive depth, but maybe they see that they could utilize a guy like Murka as an upgrade and throwing him in a trade to upgrade the roster. So
yeah, that's a good point. If you make a defenseman, if you pick a defenseman high, that might indicate what you think about somebody else in the organization you have to move out.
Yeah. And with Viggo Bjork, he's a guy that he was playing professionally in Sweden this year with Djurgårdens, and he kind of climbed the ranks throughout the year. He started early with the junior team, and quickly it was apparent that he needed to be up at the parent club in the Swedish Hockey League. So he gets up there, he puts up 15 points in 42 games, 6 goals, 9 assists. He did get a chance to play in the playoffs. He was another really good player for Sweden at the World Juniors with 9 points in 7 games, 3 goals, 6 assists. Definitely a guy that's a step below Stenberg. I think still Stenberg is one of the better players, but Bjork really kind of climbed the ranks. I think earlier in the year, I saw, people who had ranked him maybe in the middle of the class, maybe near the lower portion of the first round of the class. And with the way that he played and the way that he kind of showed, hey, like, I can stand up to the physicality and the play of a men's league, being 5'9" and 181 pounds, that didn't bother him. And not only that, but he's a really smart player. He's a good playmaker as well. He's good with the puck in his stick. He's creative. He's really fluid with his play. He's a guy that if the Sabres wanted to take him at 4th overall, given if Stenberg's off the board, if Malhotra's off the board, they're sitting there. They could go the first defenseman there, hypothetically, or they could say, no, we're going to take Viggo Bjork, and it wouldn't entirely surprise me.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the stadium. Brayton was there yesterday. I was as well, the ribbon cutting, and we know that's in Buffalo, Orchard Park, I should say, Highmark Stadium. We also know that if you want to go to a game outside of Buffalo, you got to get with our guys at Fans of Buffalo. They're doing an amazing work every year. These trips this year already set up: Miami, Vegas, Houston, Green Bay, Minnesota, Denver, LA, all the different places that you want to make sure you go and have a great time to watch your Buffalo Bills. They're going to be there. It's going to be an amazing time. So check them out, fansofbuffalo.com. Brayton, what was your maybe biggest thing you thought about with the stadium when you took it in collectively after taking the tour yesterday?
How massive the place is, how state of the art it is. Like, I talked with Mark Poloncarz in an interview on Monday, an exclusive interview, and he had said something to the terms of, no matter what expectations you have going into that stadium, the first time you walk in there, all expectations are shot. Mm-hmm. They're off the board, because you're going to see something new. You're going to see something that just completely blew you away. And when you first step in, it's an immediate upgrade from what the old Highmark Stadium was. It just, obviously the amenities are new and everything is all state of the art, up to date. But the sight lines, the feel of the stadium, the loudness of the stadium. I mean, Sal, I think I made a comment with you where the music, even just the music that was playing, it was so loud and deafening. You couldn't hear yourself think.
And it was clear. There wasn't an echo.
Right.
I learned something. I learned something. I talked about this on the air last couple of days where Frank Cravata, told me underneath the ribbon boards on the 200 level, like in the end zones, when there's the overhang, a lot of times you get that echoey feel for the sound, right? In a stadium. He said there's 700 little speakers around the stadium where they're literally designed so the sound hits you at the right time. So you're not getting that echo. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And like the fact that, and I talked to the Populous guys too, Jonathan Malley and Scott Radisick, who's a former Bills linebacker, obviously. Both of them mentioned the fact that the way that the stadium, everything is just on top of the field, and the way that the sound is going to interact with the on play, the play on the field, and the way that kind of the interaction with the crowd and bounce around the whole stadium, it's going to be loud. And even just again with the music was very loud, in a good way, just because you kind of got that feel for, okay, like there's no fans in here right now, but you get the understanding of like, okay, it is going to be loud. But other than that, I mean, just the fan experience is going to take it up from, if you want to call the old Highmark Stadium in terms of fan experience, maybe like middle of the road, let's just be, maybe friendly here, like a 5. This stadium's going to be an 11. Like it is incredible with just how much this stadium's going to offer for fans. It's even going to offer for the players as well. It is a total wholehearted upgrade from the old facility. And we love the old facility. I know a lot of people love the old Highmark Stadium and what it brought and what it meant. This new facility is going to bring a whole different element to the table, and it's going to be phenomenal. And just the way that, the scoreboards, the upgrades, the technology, the upgrades with seating. I know a lot of people love the fact that what they saw with the seats was totally different from the old stadium.
How about the concourses and the gathering spaces and the amount of space there is?
Yeah, that's another huge element too. And that's the one thing Scott Radisick brought up yesterday was the fact that you go out of your seat, you go to the concourse. In the old stadium, you couldn't see the field at all unless you were looking down a tunnel when you got to that point.
That's right.
This stadium, you will see the field in every aspect, no matter where you are in the concourse. You can see the north end, the south end, the close sidelines, the far sidelines. You will see everything, no problem, in the concourses walking around. And that was very evident yesterday as well.
No doubt. It reminds me of a baseball stadium. A lot of the newer stadiums, last 20 years or so, they built them like that, where you could walk from, let's say, down the third baseline around the plate to the first base, and you could watch the game as you walk.
Yeah.
And you could see all that. The art, the architecture, all the homage to Buffalo, the local artists, things in Buffalo, like even the grain elevators, the like they've kind of incorporated that in so many ways. It's really cool.
I love some of the local art that they put in there. It's some of it's so minor and, you don't really think much of it, but really, when you think about it, it's just like, okay, this is truly a stadium built for Buffalo fans. And, whether you're from Western New York or you're coming back home from, out of the area, you'll step into that building and you'll find something in that facility that will bring you back. It will bring you back home. It will just give you the positive vibes and just the love for the community. I think that was part of what stood out to me in that experience yesterday, as well as seeing some of the elements that they thought about, the minor elements that they thought of to put into that stadium that really just is truly Western New York. And that's special, I think.
We're going to be there this year watching games. Who else is going to be there? Our guy, John Saft. He drives all the way from the Hudson Valley area, owns his own electrical company down there. Big Buffalo sports fan. He said, Sal, I want to sponsor Sal's house, and you tell anybody out there, if they live near me, I'll take care of their electric. Tell them I want they're going to get the Buffalo sports fan discount. So there you go, Brayton. Make sure we tell everybody they can do that. 845-744-5072. Thanks a lot to Johnny Saft Electric, TSE Buffalo. Public and private signings, official partner of the Bills, Sabres, Bandits, TSCBuffalo.com. MafiaCon 2026 coming your way soon. Fans of Buffalo, flights, hotels, game tickets, tailgates. You can book your entire Buffalo sports travel package at fansofbuffalo.com. Herbal IQ, a New York State licensed dispensary, 6300 Transit Road in Depew. And of course, Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. All the games, all the time. Brayton, where can people find you and get more information on the NHL draft and what you saw at Highmark Stadium?
Yeah, so I know that I put up a photo gallery of what I saw and captured at the new stadium. That's over at WBEN.com and also at WGR550.com. My mock draft for the 2026 NHL draft is coming up on the WGR website tomorrow at some point, so that'll be up. Depending on if they trade the pick today or whatnot. Yesterday was
you never know now.
Yesterday was wild. I think that today is already bound to be a crazy one. So we'll follow.
I'm expecting the Leafs to make moves. You got Nyes. You got what else? Who else? I think Riley. Right? More.
Riley.
There's a lot of stuff going on. Hellebuck. Who knows what happens with him out there? And Winnipeg. So there's a lot going on. And then on social, where can people find you?
I'm at Brayton J. Wilson on Twitter. And yes, that's my real name too, by the way. Sal, I get people that always are just like trying to throw shade at me of just like, somebody with a real name would understand. It's just like, what are you talking about? This is my real name. This is my name that
it's a great on-air name. It's a great radio
name. I know.
Wilson.
It's insane. But yes, Brayton J. Wilson, the generic spelling of Wilson. That's me on social media. You can find me on X, Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. Find me there and feel free to follow along. I've also got a bunch of draft profiles on WGR550.com. And I've been sharing those out on social media as well.
Brayton, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you, buddy. I mean, you're always a big part of our NHL draft coverage. That's going to continue to a good one-stop place to go is to go follow Brayton. But thanks a lot for doing this today. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Sal. Really appreciate you having me as well.